Right. Okay. So, yeah, you can hear? Right. Good.
You didn't know here? Hello? Wait. Okay. You hear me, right? Okay.
Good morning, members of the media, members of the public joining us online and all platforms. This morning we will be joined by Minister Jerlene John for our UNC's weekend press conference. We will start in approximately 5 minutes, so we ask you to tune in as Minister John reports on the dynamic work that her ministry and the government led by the Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar is doing to rebuild this country. So we ask you to stay tuned, and in 5 minutes' time, we will commence our weekly UNC press conference. Thank you very much. A pleasant good morning to members of the media, members of the public, and all joining us for the UNC's weekend press conference. This is the third time this week that the UNC comes to the population to report to you on the work we are doing, because led by the Prime Minister, the government is working day after day to restore economy, rebuild opportunity, restore and re-energize opportunities within the energy sector, within the economy, and within investment. This morning, we are very pleased to have the Honourable Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Honourable Jolene John, Member of Parliament for Couva North. Today, the Minister of Works and Infrastructure will speak about the results of the expressions of interest on the Revitalization Blueprint Plan launched on 6th of November 2025. The deadline for submissions of these expressions of interest closed on Thursday, 5th February 2026 at 4 p.m. As a result, the chairman of UDICOT wrote to the Minister of Works and Infrastructure indicating these results. This morning, we welcome the Honourable Minister to present on these results.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your introduction. Chairman of UDICOT, Mr. Shankar Bidesi. Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for tuning in on your various devices and on the various platforms. As the Honourable Minister said, the Honourable Prime Minister would have launched what is known as the Global Revitalization Blueprint, which really is the platform for the leverage on which, fundamentals on which Trinidad and Tobago will at last achieve its diversification. Because it's not that we are moving away so much from oil and gas, but how we are leveraging oil and gas and expanding our economy to ensure that indeed, everyone who wants an opportunity could access an opportunity, and they could go as far as their ambition and ability can take them. So thank you, and we can move in. You will recall that on the 6th of November 2025, the Honourable Prime Minister would have launched the blueprint, as I said, and it was carried in all of the media. It was one of maybe the few things that would have been hailed, as being sensible and well about time and so on. And basically, the Prime Minister at that time said, Trinidad and Tobago, I really am betting on you. And so as a result of that, today we want to tell the population what has come out of the first phase, the expression of interest, which closed on the 5th of February. It should have closed it was first projected to close on the 22nd of January. However, based on popular demand, we were asked to extend it for 2 more weeks. So here we are, and well, we'll get back to what we had projected at the time of launch, basically that at peak 2027 or thereabouts, we should be have created 72,000 jobs. Of that, about 30,000 will end up being sustainable jobs, permanent jobs. So Trinidad and Tobago was in our positioning. I've always maintained, and the Prime Minister has always drummed into us, our marketplace is everywhere. Our competitor is everywhere. To an investor, his money is portable. He could invest his money anywhere. All he's interested in is the internal rate of return, the payback period. When am I going to start to get the returns on my investment that I've put at risk? And our task with the chairman of UDICOT and some others was really how are we going to position Trinidad and Tobago within this global marketplace. All right, yes, we are in the Caribbean, but we believe that we could box way above our weight. All right, so whenever we are rolling out anything, we are competing with Abu Dhabi, with Dubai, with Singapore, with Saudi Arabia, with New York, with Russia, wherever the competition is, with Berlin. We are there because we are competing for that elusive thing called investment capital. That's what we're competing for. Good? So we felt it was the time to awaken the potential of our people, raise the quality of life for all citizens, nurture a society that respects diversity, invest in sound infrastructure and in the environment, seamlessly aligned with the global community. All these are lovely words because, we go by that philosophy that a rising tide lifts every boat. But that assumes that everybody has a vote. That's the assumption. And basically, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has said, we are going to ensure that there's an opportunity for every man, woman, and child as best as one can make this opportunity and ensure that it is equal. So this was the first, stage one of this whole change in how we do business and how we see business and how we intend to roll out and expand. By doing so, expand the economy and ensure that people can leverage various opportunities. Because we knew by our data one and intuitively that there was a pent-up demand. So we came up with 13 nodes. A node really is a geographical space for a project. So the San Fernando waterfront will be a node. The Invaders Bay will be a node, right? The Port of Spain wharf will be a node as it is, right? So of that 13 nodes, we came up with 21 categories for the expression of interest, which was rolled out on that same day of the announcement simultaneously. And that was 129 projects. Now, people would have looked at that and say, this is very ambitious. And of course, it was ambitious. What we, in going about, well, I mean, we didn't really go about, but we visited a couple countries. And what we heard all the time, your rollout was spectacular. Trinidad and Tobago rollout was spectacular because we knew we were competing with the world. All right, so these are the nodes, as we said, 13, 21 categories, 129 projects. And yesterday, coming out of the 5th of February, close of the expression of interest, the chairman of UDICOT yesterday wrote a letter to me saying this is what, at this time, because this is now a day and a half, right? This is what we can see at this, what we call a high level of this rollout. So the table shows the number of expression of interest received for each category. And basically, what we are seeing here, so category 1, luxury waterfront real estate development, hotels, housing, and waterfront entertainment. We got 57 submissions. Financial district development and waterfront, whatever, 43 responses. And all along, these were the responses that came out of that digital box, as it were. Portal, the chairman has corrected me. So in all, we received 965 submissions, meaning 965 they would have put in for the projects, okay? So this was a blowout. So Trinidad and Tobago, you understand, we positioned ourselves well. And the submission pages reviewed thus far is 190,000. In UDICOT, they're still counting. All right? The mandate is for them to work around the clock in shifts because of the, how robust the response was. And this map shows the international, where the countries from which some of the international responses were derived. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago, you know, also participated very, very overwhelmingly in this. So again, just for the record, you know, 965 submissions and 190,000 submission pages reviewed so far. So I had to put this slide here because I was invited about 2 weeks ago to a group called AmCham to present on this same revitalization program. And they had a report from E&Y, some survey they said they had done. I mean, maybe it was the shortness of time. They could not tell us the basis. I didn't understand what were the assumptions. I don't think we were told the assumptions. At least I didn't understand the assumptions. But they could have come up with this, which ended up in a Sunday Guardian. No confidence in revitalization plan. Somebody, they say, what for a survey of execs, meaning executive. And in the body of the article, it had that these people in some C-suite. Now, this C-suite had to be some people in La La Land, you understand, enjoying themselves, because this can't be reality. Because you go in and survey people in some C-suite, these people put no money at risk. These are not investors. These are not contractors. This is Bob the Builder down in Beetham. This is Sam in Sealots who is a wireman and want a job so bad. This is not Dioraj down in Cali Bay who is really an air-conditioned man, but he's fishing because he doesn't have a job. He's underemployed. They didn't survey them. They survey some fat cats called executive C-suites in town, and they come up and say, no confidence. I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago if 965 responses, and these are not police stations and community centers and the like, you know. These are billion-dollar projects. And in almost every case, they have to come with the presentation, where their submission must include how they're funding that. So this is mainly private sector money, all right? So I don't know where this came from. So as I said, I had to talk about it because Guardian had it big in a big Sunday spread, and basically I think one has to go and survey these people to find out who they are and how they could have gotten it so wrong. Because there's pent-up demand in Trinidad and Tobago. Pent-up demand of investment money. If you go on any Cal flight, American Airlines flight, BA flight, it's full with Trinidad and Tobago businessmen. What are they doing? They are looking for investments. They are looking for opportunities. And what did we do? We responded to that by rolling up projects that made sense. What you had to do is sense, have sense. It's not always about the dollar, it's about sense. So right, you could get them people off. So category 1, waterfront real estate, 57 submissions. And this is down at Invaders Bay and somewhere between San Fernando and so on. So we got 57 submissions. You see how competitive this is. This is extremely competitive.
These are mega projects.
And these are, again, reiterate, these are mega projects, right? 57 submissions, right? You're talking about, well, Invaders Bay foreshore, 300 premium waterfront apartments, 400 berths, marine docks, 4 5-star hotels offering 1,000 rooms, 3,000 rooms in 5 years, 3,000 in 10 years. All right. Now, as I said, we still have, not we, UDCOT, they are still going through. They have just downloaded the submissions. They now will go through the submissions. All right. But just from an initial impression, this is a major response.
And the competition is extremely fierce.
It's very competitive. Okay. So and this is the Waterfront Financial District that includes the International Financial Center, Convention Center, major pieces of infrastructure that will change the way we see ourselves, change the way we do business, and change the way people think about us when they come here. As long as we can get this going and get it done, we become a very competitive, sophisticated market for everybody. So we right up there competing. Let's go. Category 3, port construction, dredging and operation, 40 submissions. You know what that is? That is reclaiming lands for 400 acres of offshore oil islands. You got 40 submissions. It's serious business, okay? And this is about break bulk and bonded goods warehousing, Port Authority Administrative Complex, dry dock facility, right? 50 acres just for break bulk and bonded goods warehousing and so on. And, well, that dry docking, again, this is about being competitive and positioning Trinidad and Tobago. Because what underlying all of this, what are we looking for as a government? We are saying jobs, forex, all right, that in the main. And of course, safety and security. That's like 1, 2, 3, or 1, 1, 1. 3 again, well, all right, same, right? The port construction, dredging and operation. And we are talking about dredging 35.7 million tons. So these are really mega projects by any standards. And that is why some of this was very attractive to the global marketplace, because, you know, they always look at islands in the Caribbean and so, and say they're so small they can't scale up. But what we gave is scale, because we said, okay, we are going to compete with the ports, not necessarily in the Caribbean, but in Latin America, some even in the US, and build a port with a capacity for 4 million TEUs. That is the container equivalent unit per year. Right? So this is serious business, again, and to really compete. Retail construction, category 4, on operation, 59 submissions. This is along the port of Port of Spain. You know, as long as we get the port moved, so now the port lands are all freed up. World-class convention center, 50 luxury ballrooms each. So we're talking about space to balance. That part of it. Not only convention. Convention business is big business. That is the business that has Vegas going. People feel Vegas is about show, and what go in Vegas, stay in Vegas. It's about conventions. That is the business they run. All right? So we are saying we are competing with them. We are going to compete with Florida. We are going to compete with New York because we have better weather. And, of course, equipped with cutting-edge audio-visual technology and connectivity. Because when you look, when we scanned, Latin America doesn't have this facility. All right? Where you have to go is up to North America to get this quality of facility. 5, let's go quickly. The multimodal hub Port of Spain, 34 submission. What we are talking about here, this is where the PTSC terminal is. Now, not what there's the inter-island ferry terminal right there. So we are going to integrate that. So you have inter-island, intercity, that is San Fernando, Port of Spain, maybe Point Fortin, Port of Spain, Cuba, Port of Spain, water taxi. Right? The Caribbean, the inter-island, meaning not only inter-island Trinidad, Tobago, we are talking about inter-island, the Grenadiers, the Barbados, the St. Vincent, wherever our foodstuff, we import from some of these other islands. Okay, so you have an integrated public transportation system. Number 5, same multimodal. This is now in San Fernando. Good, and they have a maxi taxi, a water taxi hub, maxi taxi hub, bus hub, and so on. So again, an integrated solution. High density housing, 57 submission. This is along the San Fernando waterfront. These are conceptuals. These are actual designs from architects. You had surveyors and so on designing these to scale. So them a pretty picture that is there. This is serious thing. So when we go out for the request for proposal, already we have the conceptuals. What they can do, they could tweak it. All right, but they have to tweak it with permission at the end of the day. Because we don't want any 2x4 thing here. We are building Trinidad and Tobago to compete in a serious way. All right, when people come here from New York, Canada, Toronto, as they say, it must be seamless. Your roads good, everything looking nice and clean and safe and secure. But we're going to get to safe and secure just now. So 57 submissions. I was very surprised about this because I felt the social projects, the civic projects as it were, those dealing some of them with national security or the socially displaced, even hospitals to some extent, they were not going to be taken up. But 54 submissions. Right. Next. Industrial park and free trade zone. This is in sea lots. Can you imagine, once we can bring this to reality, what this will do to the economy and sea lots, to the lives of people living in sea lots, right? 39 submissions. So the same way, Trinidad and Tobago is betting on sea lots, right? So when we are about to do the consultation inside the sea lots, I'll go myself. Yeah, no absentee landlord. I'll go myself to do the consultation, to talk to the people at sea lots to say, let us bring light manufacturing inside of here, free trade zone. You have a you have a proximity to the harbor, to the port, so the cost of transportation is down, so you have a competitive advantage. Goods doesn't have to travel over long distances, so your goods, you have a built-in competitive advantage in having this free trade zone located in sea lots. Mixed-use real estate, 55 submissions, right? And this is mixed use along the Port of Spain, the port lands. For if you have to get context, this is the existing Hyatt Hotel, and one is proposing waterfront residences. You'll have things like, convention centers, hotels, and so on, restaurants, etc., maybe small boutiques, but of course built and presented in a particular way. This is Rice Road. Enhancing the national security apparatus, which is critical to any kind of investment, to any kind of progress. People killing people like if we crazy wouldn't work. Good people might come in and they will make their money, a few, not many, and they're gone. They're not going to stay here, right? But when people, we want to be competitive, that the real C-suite executive, who are now going to Dubai, because why? It is safe. They are going to Abu Dhabi. They are going to Singapore. They say it's safe. And I could bring my wife and my children. When they come, you don't want them to just come for overnight. You want them to come and to stay because you want that talent, that expertise, their Rolodex, their networking to come with them. So this is National Security Administration. And this is really ensuring that our commissioner and the Trinidad and Tobago police service is brought into the 22nd century or even 23rd century, way ahead because we're dealing with AI and all of that in terms of...
48 submissions.
We got 48 submissions, all right? So these are 40-acre single unified functional national security, we call it a campus, right? So this, again, might have been like a civic kind of project, but it has been taken up, 48 submissions. This is the same thing.
Government Campus Plaza, Central.
This is in Central. Good, we are talking about, again, decentralizing government. That everything is not stuck in borders. When we complain about the traffic, it's not only about having taxis when you want it, or in terms of your mass people mover, your want more bus, why you don't invest in light rail. Some of it is decentralized and it's common sense, it makes sense. And we have lands all around where you have these, this plaza, Price Plaza area there, right? So we are saying you relocate some of these ministries into these areas so everybody's not coming into Port of Spain. High density car park. This is in San Fernando, next to the proposed hospital. We got 44 submissions. Cultural real estate. Them boys jail. Again, this was one that surprised me. What we are talking about, when we consolidate the prisons into Tamana, we have a historic building in Port of Spain that is them boys jail. However, you can't build around it right now. You can't build above 2 stories because it's a jail, right? I think there is a basement and all of that. So one is saying, repurpose it. You know, you keep the facade, which is historic, and you have a place for exhibition and event hall, classroom and studies for teaching and workshop. This is about culture. This is a space for culture. All them masks and thing, costume, calypso, you know, your Kitchener wing, your Sparrow wing, and that kind of thing. Maybe a Marshall wing, who knows, right? So this is what you do with this. Is this 2 acres of land? Prime and it's really adjacent to Napa, the museum, our iconic Queen's Park, Savannah. So this is a prime piece of real estate.
This is one intended forex generators.
For sure. In addition, when people come to your country, we're coming to do. So you have to have places, you have to create spaces for people to visit, right, and to come again. This is the current Carrera prison that one is looking to repurpose. It sits under cultural real estate. So all that is part of the 43 responses we got. Healthcare facilities, 45 submissions, right? We are talking about over 1,000 additional bed spaces, both in San Fernando and Port of Spain, because again, we are looking at a world-class medical teaching campus because you want to get to the point that with your healthcare, right now people still waiting 2 days for a bed and what have you. So you get past that and you have enough redundancy in the system because we have excellent doctors, excellent nurses. We have doctors that home sleeping right now because they have no jobs. So you sap up all of that redundancy and extra capacity that we have. This is actually in San Fernando. When we had first, the Prime Minister then, 2010 to 2015, the previous administration had built an admin building in San Fernando. And the Prime Minister had said, people sleeping on the streets, in the corridor of the hospital, repurpose that to a bed tower. And we repurposed it to a 116, I think, bed tower in San Fernando. And the idea after that was this, again, iconic hospital, the San Fernando Hospital, to convert it into a medical school, and you build a new hospital, a 21st, 22nd century hospital.
We got 45 submissions for that.
45 submissions, right? Healthcare facilities, and this is Port of Spain. Now where we are talking about having 25 operating theater, radiography and imaging center, rehabilitation and specialty center, multi-story parking structure. What I have not seen is the oncology, because we look at the diseases that plague our own people, and then we build out from that. Healthcare in North America, I mean, who could afford in Trinidad? They go there. But healthcare for the American citizens is very high, okay? We believe we can do it better. We can do it at a cheaper cost, both the healthcare and the pharmaceuticals. And basically, instead of people from America going to the Middle East, Latin America, and so on, we have 4.5 hours of mainland America, right? We should be the space of choice, the market of choice, the destination of choice. 15, urban park and retail, 55 submissions. And this is in San Fernando. Again, well, this picture is the concept. This is San Fernando, where you have, again, the Plaza San Carlos. I think that now exists. Good, but all of the other spaces, the 10,000 persons convention center, 50 marina berth, and so on, we got 55 submissions. Energy recovery facility, this has to do with Beetham and putting Betham waste to use, all right? In terms of recycling, waste management, the training hub, and so on, 36 submissions. And everything we are doing it in a way that the world would want to come here to learn, what we are doing. We want to create a model of excellence in every single area that we are pointing out here. We talk about the consolidation of justice where it is proposed to close down Carrera Island, 25 acres, close Frederick Street, as you see, Golden Grove Prison, 270 acres, and you consolidate it in Tamana, the Tamana Park, right? But it shows the government's, not only intention, the fact that there is resolve in bringing crime down. That has to do first with your people. You can have people slaughtering little children 5 years old, as they did with the Anita Diaz down in Moruga. That child was in her mother's arm getting her hair combed. Who does get murdered in their mother's arm? Jomo running around a field in, Shagwana say, Africa ground. Killed, right? The little girl up in Grandy, 2 o'clock in the morning, killed her, murdered. Anissa Mohammed, 4 children, died 1 child. And we accept that as a people. Shame. That is not normal. Right? So when they had this thing, all you call it ZOSO, Zone of Special Operations, that was to ensure that we move from this to ensure we say, okay, in this area, what do they need? They need better community center. They need better playing field. We spent 10 years in opposition. You know what that did to us? We went in all of those schools, primary and secondary. They have the worst bathroom, bulb lighting, the place dark, moss growing everywhere. They have no computer lab. How these kids are going to compete? What do you see on social media? The outcome of that is that they're beating each other savagely in the school. The short-term response to that was putting police in the school. But we can't have that forever. We have to live like civilized people. If people have to come here, we have to be civilized. They don't come here because we soca sweet. No. Hello to the capital. Watch out for that tomorrow. Right? No, I'm not finished. Crime is important. Solving this is important. So instead, our people, I didn't see anything in the papers really saying this was a landmark achievement, right? And pressure should be put on the government to cut this by half again. To cut this by half again this year. And that was done in under a year, 42%. It means that over 200 people in there. You don't put up your hand and say, I want to be murdered. Who does that? So these are involuntary things that just happen to you, whether you think the people good or bad. This is unacceptable, and you cannot invite anybody to Trinidad and Tobago, and they come and we like the Wild Wild West. That a visitor, a stranger, an expatriate, wife can't go and walk around the Queen's Park Savannah and not stand the risk of being raped or worse, murdered. All right? So this is an important statistic. And everybody needs to rally, not around the West Indies, around Trinidad and Tobago to get this down further. If it is all that we are talking has to come together. Part of that is safety and security. Nobody are coming in your place that is a mess. Okay, so we really have to join together to deal with this crime. Right? So Zozo is not a political thing. Zozo is what's the name? Zizo. So it's a matter of conscience and a matter of what is right. We have to be our brother's keeper. All right, so all that old talk and nonsense, people should be ashamed of themselves. Okay, so this is an important statistic. Let's move on. So this is the complex in Tamana, right, where we are proposing, we just consolidate. Right away, we'll be saving about 30% of our costs, right away. I think from Carrera alone, we're saving $60 million a year, per annum. Carrera alone. So do you know what we could do with that? We could pump that into school. So after the revitalization, big infrastructure, is revitalization school and sporting complex, and these kind of things. We have to get into these places and ensure that we bring them right up. And when a child goes there, they don't come out worse, but they come out so much better, ready to contribute to their country. Yeah. So the prison complex, 44 submissions, 18. Medium density housing, 52 submissions. And well, this is self-explanatory. 90, road transport infrastructure, that was 43 submissions. Even just this morning, the chairman of WASA called me. And again, this is looking ahead. he said, we have to deal with the utility corridors and so on, right? And because we have to work together as ministries and what have you, consolidate the work to ensure this one is spending the money and that perennial complaint we have, you pave the road, Wasa go and dig up and so. We are working in collaboration. The Wasa and the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, there's a much more collaborative relationship, and we'll continue to ensure to work on that so we can get the outcomes in the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. 20, category 20. Electrical substation infrastructure. So you see, I'm talking about public utilities. We pick it up. And we got 35 submissions for that. And the last one, land reclamation, because we will probably reclaim another 100 acres of land, both in Port of Spain and Trinidad. We got 34 submissions. Right, so this is the largest infrastructure program in the history of the Caribbean. The rollout of 129 projects. The onus is on UDCOT to ensure, and UDCOT, you'll ensure that in terms of your procurement rules, you have enough skilled people, because we have a lot of skilled people, to roll this out. We are talking about approximately 112 billion TT dollars over a 10-year period. All right, so that's a lot of money pumping into a lot. So downstream of that, let me get to the next one in terms of, we reiterate, how many submissions? Good. In terms of the potential procurement structure, government to government, public-private partnership, build, operate, lease, transfer, business-to-business joint ventures. The government will facilitate by ensuring that, in the same way we had that, the experience with the Exxon, that CEC, that should have taken 2 years, took 2 months. And that's how we're going to collapse time, in the interest of folks, when they put their money at risk, they can get to the other end in terms of when they are plotting their cash flows. Their request is not held up in the EMA, and they are paying money on bridging finance, because that's a killer. So the employment benefits, as we said, is about 72,000 jobs. Average employment overall, 50,919 jobs. Direct jobs, 20,000. So this is what we will retain most likely, but at a peak, and we are looking at a peak 27 to 28, 2027 to 2020, 72,000 jobs. Now, downstream, this is not only about jobs and big infrastructure and so on. The supply chain falls into it. And this is just the top-level items we are talking about. Supply chain and people who really, they're waiting for these jobs to materialize. So we have all the measurement, approximately, with respect to whether it's structural steel, cement, rebar, aggregate, asphalt, granular, sub-base, blocks, plumbing, piping, electrical, cabling, etc., and so much more. Now, it means all the hardware, all these quarries and so on will be working overtime. Good, and we are talking about when we're rolling out, subject to UDCOT and their timelines, by the final third to fourth quarter of this year, early next year, and things should be very hot in 27. And who will benefit directly from these projects? Painters, plumbers, electricians, transport providers, bricklayers, carpenters, structural sealers, road pavers, air-conditioned people, surveyors, engineers, valuators, lawyers. They're always looking about their own interests. Lawyers, all right? Lawyers, yes. So the next step. We're already in February. We have closed, just as we said we're going to close. So UDCOT now shortlisting their proponents. Good, that has started. What I need from them, not this thing here, that is not my business. My business is your timelines. I'd gotten a timeline before we shifted it by 2 weeks, but now I need their newly reconstituted timelines. In addition, and Chairman, the fact that you all got 965 responses, that didn't matter to me. That's all your business, right?
So tomorrow, tomorrow by 4 p.m., you will have a solid time.
Thank you, right? So I don't care that we got almost 1,000, and you were estimating maybe 300. That's a matter for you. Good, so award of the first wave of project, May to June. I'll cut them some slack here, all right? Between May and June, unless it's a government to government. Boots on the ground, August, as I said, the final quarter of 2026. So we're going to give them performance, all right? We are in the period now of the procurement. So if I can quickly go on to just briefly about where we are with respect to the Ministry of Works. how we are supporting these things. Now, there's me out there 10 o'clock in the night, not because me are no bed, but because you have to go out and show people how to work. You understand? So whether we power washing or overpass and things, you have to ensure, you have to go out and make sure and insist they all have on their PPE and so on. And you see the Ministry of Works, the people really working. Look at this thing. It's a pity you can't see before and after, right? So we are on the ground conducting, and a lot of it is being done in-house. In-house repairs to optimize allocated revenues because we have to stretch the money. So we're improving oversight of contracted work to ensure that our country is getting the value for money, and the oversight is there in terms of better quality service. We are training, we are working with the local government, we are working with the other utility companies, and so on, so to ensure that we have an agreed standard of delivery, right? So you see that, working with entities such as water and sewerage, etc., to ensure efficiency, and that when we work together, right? Introduction of in-house training skills, development, and internal quality control system. So all of these things are being put in place, and we are marking contractors very hard, right, in terms of what you're doing for the money that you are being paid. So interagency collaboration, WASA on the Western Main Road, well, you know, this was me going to the parliament, but I just happened to come down to see something. You know, I said, I'm not an absentee landlord, and basically, the next day they were there dealing with some bottles in the drain, because that's another thing. Trinidad people have to know, Trinidad Tobago people, well, not Tobago, it's fairly clean, right? But, you know, we throw plastics in the drain. You should have seen that drain, okay? Spot patching programs, potholes fixed faster. Well, that isn't me. I didn't say that. They said that. And basically, right now we are in several communities because what we are doing, we are just potting no pothole. What we are doing end-to-end. TN Tech, they have a piece of software that they use with their repairs and so on, and they have graciously and kindly said, we can piggyback on that in terms of identifying our potholes. So when we go out, what we are doing, if it is, you have 200 potholes in your community, we patching all, right? So we're not coming and patch the one that most obvious. We are patching all and we move on. So they have told me we have approximately 5,000 defects identified nationwide. I feel it's more than that, but all right. Good. Last week, week one was last week. We patched 375 potholes, and there is a 342 square meters patched. That's probably a metric. And here is where we are right now. You know, and I said this is going to expand, and you see, Miaro is up on that board, you know. Good. Basically, as we move on, you know, this will expand across the country. It's across the country, it's countrywide. But we have to get our roads in order. Snapshot of completed works. This is some of the works we are very aggressively doing, and they're basically working literally day and night. And we are already preparing for the rainy season with the silting projects, river cleaning project, river mouth cleaning projects, and so on. So we are already in your community, and you see us, right? But that is going to intensify in the coming weeks. What are we here? All right, so we had approval to engage 1,801 casual workers, and they have been doing a marvelous job out there. Yes, okay. And this is all telling you where we are concentrating at this time. But that is just, what I mean, this is like now, last week, this week, probably next week, and then we move on to another area. So you will see us somewhere in your neighborhood, all right? That's the Ministry of Works. Every single day, working. Thank you so much, right? So we're going to give them performance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister of Works and Infrastructure. And as a government MP, I'd like to thank the Prime Minister and yourself, Minister, for developing such a rapid, robust plan, which is now being actioned out, not only to build our country, but also build the lives of our constituents. So we thank the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, and you, Minister John, for your plan. In 9 months, you have done what those could not have done in a decade. And we thank you. We also would like now to invite questions from members of the media to Minister John. So we have a mic, and we'd ask you to pose your questions to the Minister based on her plan.
Yes, please. No, I could get have a mic. Me have to come nowhere. Or they ask any questions. Yeah, please. Yeah. No questions?
Yes, good morning,
My
Jensen.
mother have some pea soup for my water go and eat.
I was just waiting for you to be settled.
No, I settled.
Based on the projections that you had here, which one of the projects do you estimate will be the first project to take off?
We are having multiple projects. 129 projects. We can't sequence them 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are going to do some categories of projects. So it's very likely maybe about 40 projects will be rolled out at the same time because you have to do it in kind of waves. And again, if it is we roll out 129, and you see the kind of response we are looking at here. So especially after this morning, everybody's suffering from anxiety. These people who have put their hat in the ring. Mm-hmm.
So it depends on whether it's government to government or PPP, right? So it depends.
Well, what I'm saying, whatever it is, I'm saying we are going to roll out multiple projects at the same time. We are going to come back to the country and say, okay, the same way we have been very transparent, maybe in a month's time, we'll say this is what has come out of when you drill down into the thing, we are going to offer maybe X amount of proponents we'll invite them to the request for proposal, and with respect to whatever, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 developmental nodes. But as you note, within the nodes, there are multiple projects. That's the point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Could you identify some of the companies that express interest?
No, I can't. I don't have it. Look, this is letter to me. If I have that this morning, something wrong with me. His letter gave me numbers. The chairman doesn't know.
So no one will be able to tell
Yes.
right, who has submitted. That is confidential and within the remit of the evaluation committee and therefore the PDAC committee. I don't even know who's submitting, and I will never know, and I'm not interested in it. Right? Chairman does not get involved in tenders. So that information is not public at all. Right?
Well, is expressions of interest, not tenders at the moment.
No, I know, but I'm taking it on to the entire process. Right? We will not know.
That is the purview of the procurement committee at UDCOT. They alone will know.
And could you explain what the government would have to do to bring these expressions of interest from just expressions of interest to reality?
Okay.
What, if anything, that the government needs to do?
No, the government needs to make sure this chairman...
Government / UDCOT.
So you have the procurement the law. So the first step, of course, you have your expression of interest. Next step is you have an evaluation committee, right? Not just collating data at a high level. Afterwards, they will go and evaluate all 965 submissions. Thereafter, based on their recommendation, it goes to the PDAC committee. PDAC committee will then, of course, determine and so on, and then request for proposal will be issued to those who are selected by the committee, right? And so on. And then, of course, that takes its course.
The PDAC committee and the request for proposal, is that public information then in terms of who was invited? That goes online?
No. That remains confidential, right? So that goes to the respective individuals.
So when
the board does not get involved in that.
So when will the public know? At the end of the process?
At the end of the process.
So at the end of the process, then everything has to be public.
Right.
Eh?
So when that goes out, now of course there's a portal and that is published on UDCOT's website at the appropriate stage. So anyone is entitled to pose their respective challenges and so on. So you'll see that there.
And that'll be May or August. That's May. This end of process that you're talking about here.
No, the ongoing process, we are saying somewhere between February and May.
And May,
right?
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So sorry. We are here now at the end of the EOI. So within this gap here, what is that? March, April, May. Very ambitious time, aggressive timeline. We expect to have the request for proposal between here and then to start awarding in, let's say, May, June.
By around May, June, because of the quantity. So around May, June.
I have a few other questions, but I don't want to hog the mic, so I want to share and come back unless my colleagues give me... Okay, so well, I'll go ahead. Now, some other questions. You touched on one of the questions I had previously jotted down. That's with regards to the intra-island ferry. Under the past regime, there was talks of the Galleon's Passage being used as part of that. What, if anything, could you say to that? Would that be ongoing? How soon would that be ongoing? Will we still be using the galleons? Which vessel will we be using? Or if Trinidad will be taking a different route in this?
Our first order of business is to get the that sea bridge between Trinidad and Tobago as right as we could get it. Right? I think we love to do the regional ferry, but that is not before the cabinet at this time, or even before the board of the Port Authority. So it is something I'm sure that will happen. But right now, as you're well aware, we really need to focus on our business.
But it hasn't been scrapped?
No, not at all, not at all.
And as you mentioned Tobago, we've been asking this and we keep asking it again. Can you give us an update with regards to the Tobago airport and why it hasn't been handed over just yet?
Well, we had a first quarter, and we're still in the first quarter. That is LITCO. They were paving the runway, as I heard last. LITCO's chairman was up there last week, and I will go at the end of this month with the expectation that one could say this airport has achieved practical completion and hand it over to Airports Authority through the ministry.
I think it was category 10, national security. You spoke of consolidating and moving everything to Tamina. Two things. One, any consultation with the Prison Officers Association, because I know they were championing closing down Frederick Street and Carrera for umpteen years, and they said that the one in MSP, there's enough land space there to house all these prisons, but I'm seeing that you want to, let me not say condemn, repurpose there and put everything into Tamina. Wouldn't that be a little more expensive than to use what is already there?
Okay. We did consult with the Prison Association, prison officers and so on, in advance of putting those designs there. And this week, I'm meeting again with the President General of the Prison Association on Thursday. He called for a meeting and I immediately agreed. And you may even see me touring the prisons because I want to get a sense really of what we are working with, right? So we have a sense. Now we know they are to condemn. They are inadequate. They are not conducive to a restorative justice, right? We don't want people to go in there and come out with us as it's happening now, right? But people to come out and really serve their time and come out and be purposeful and useful citizens. So I'm going to listen, of course, because I said the President General, he did call and ask for a meeting, but these, what you saw there, that was all in collaboration with them, a greenfield site.
I didn't notice, probably it was there and I didn't see it with regards to the national security, the training center and all these things for the TTPS. One of the things the previous administration was talking about and have been talking about 10 years was a new forensic science center facility. There was a groundbreaking ceremony some time ago in Mount Hope. There was even a designated spot for that. Could you give us an update, if any, on that?
So that was part of a government grant from the Republic of China. Right? So right now, UDICOT is engaging in discussions with the government of the Republic of China, People's Republic. And the next step is to, once it's a formal country, do due diligence. And once it's a conduct that, then we hit the ground.
So it remains...
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It remains.
Okay. I thought it was going to fit into the new...
No, that's a project by itself, a standalone.
This new cabinet has revalidated it, so that's approved and ready to go.
And any update as to how soon? Because they have been talking about that for years.
Well, we suspect it should be in about 3 to 4 months, right? We should have a final date by which the project should start.
Within 3 to 4 months?
Within about 3 to 4. It all depends, of course, the People's Republic of China.
And the last question.
Yes.
The last question is a two-part question. With regards to the MV Blue Wave Harmony, I'm not sure if you saw the article or watched the story last night, but my colleague would have did that story, so I have a few questions, or two-part question based on that. With regards to the tendering process, was it a sole select? Who was on the team if it was not a sole select? How are repairs going with regards to the vessel?
It was not a sole select. Who was on the team, I don't know. And that wasn't done at the ministry, and even if it was not the ministry, I would not have known. Right? So it was not a sole select. I don't know who is on the team. And what is the repairs? The vessel should be put back in the water by maybe Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. They should start the sea trials. again. But the way I see this big story, I thought you all had all the answers. This is something public information on some website called Wikipedia. All you go and talk about exclusive. Ask an next question, please. Don't ask me about that. Go back and find it. Some sourpuss feeling.
Has the class certification officials arrived in the country to clear the vessel? I know you say going back out on Thursday.
Yeah, but, yes, sir. No, what I'm saying is, you don't put a vessel. It's not even the Port Authority or whomever else. This is about international convention and international accreditation. You don't mess about with that. So even when the boat, there was the incident, we had welders on the ground by 8 o'clock the following morning in Tobago. But they couldn't touch the boat because they had to have international assessors, right? Because that is how that goes. So even after the work that is being done is supervised by international assessors. That's what is happening.
And the repairs cost, could you give an estimate?
No, I don't have the cost of that. Yes.
Good morning, Minister. Rondo Daulat, Pinpoint Solutions. With respect to the development, how many residential communities will be affected? And as soon as when consultation will start?
No, with this, there'll be no negative impact on anybody. These are greenfield, what we call greenfield sites, right? Both the Invaders Bay waterfront and the San Fernando waterfront. These are greenfield.
Does some of these areas fall under the Environmental Agency protection?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, you'll have to get your certificate of environmental impact, certainly. But we are doing what you call it, a consolidated hub to speed up all of these approvals.
With respect to the public consultation, how soon this will start? Because I saw boots on the ground estimated to be in August this year.
Yeah, well, the consultation will be around that time. Meaning prior to, you wouldn't put people on the ground once there's going to be an impact unless you consult. So that will be part of the process. All right, so thank you very much, everybody.
There's a new issue, well, not new, but there are workers at the Ministry of Works and Transport in Cedars/Point Fortin region, and they are complaining that they have not received pay for 2 fortnights. And they just want some answers.
The money is there. The issue is they are going to get their pay by tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. It had to do with errors in those same places, unfortunately. I mean, to say it wasn't the workers' fault. The paperwork, when it got to the ministry, you had a lot of errors. I mean, every single day, I, as the minister, I ask about these payments to the people. All right? So this is very unfortunate and very painful to me that they are not getting their money because it's not, the money is in the bank to pay them, right? And so the processing of the checks.
Final thing, Dem Boys Jail. That's the official name? We keeping that name?
No, I don't call it Dem Boys
Let's
Jail.
make it sure.
Oh, God.
Right. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Minister John.
Yeah.
Thank you, members of the media. And thank you for joining our UNC weekly press conference, weekend press conference. Again, we congratulate the Prime Minister and the Minister John for this robust plan that is taking action. And it is going to help and rebuild our economy, our country, and the lives of our citizens. Thank you very much. Have a great day.